ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरु वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागररघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्यता देशतारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। नमो ब्राह्मण देवाय गो ब्राह्मण हिताय च जगत हिताय कृष्णाय गोविंदाय ते नमः। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, ठाकुर की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा एवरीवन, वेलकम।
हरे कृष्णा माताजी।
हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
हरे कृष्ण
हरे
माताजी।
कृष्णा एवरीवन, हरे कृष्णा। Okay, let's start. Okay, let's bear obeisances before we start the session to Shri Shri Radha Govind and take their blessings. So these are the sections, the summary of the chapter. So yesterday we only covered two sections, section 1 and 2. So how one has to practice something happened. Okay. So Krishna explains that one has to follow Nishkama Karma Yoga before practicing the Ashtanga Yoga, right? So and then we also saw there are two stages in the Ashtanga Yoga. Can someone tell me which are the two stages? Ashtanga Yoga.
Yoga Ruda.
Yeah. Yoga Ruda, that is the advanced stage. Before that
Yes.
is Yoga
Before
Rurukshu.
Yoga
Yeah.
Ruda.
So, yeah. So the first four of the Ashtanga Yoga, first four procedures. So those are all called as like Yama, Niyama, Asana, and Pranayama. So these comes in Yoga Rurukshu. And then the higher is the Yoga Ruda. So today we will see further stages in the practice of yoga, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. And because after explaining all Ashtanga Yoga, so Arjuna feels that it is difficult to follow in this age. So then he says, the nature of mind is being explained here. And then Krishna gives the solution, how to control such mind. And then Arjuna further ask, like, what will be destination? Like, if a person is not able to follow spiritual life till his end of his life, so what will be a destination? Will it be like he is not even in on a material platform, he is not achieved anything because he leaves everything, right? And then he takes up spirituality. So he's neither there nor here. So what will be such person destination? And then Krishna answers those queries, and finally it ends with the who is the topmost yogi, because there are different ladder we saw in yoga system. So who will be the topmost? So section 3, Krishna described the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. The results are Yoga Ruda, the perfectional stage, and ultimately the vision of super soul. So the main purpose of yoga is to attain the supreme super soul, right? So we can see here the stages. So these are all sadhana. So one who is controlling the breathing. No, these are all and asana. So this we will see today. So yoga rurukshu is the beginning stage, and the highest is the yoga ruda stage. That is complete cessation of work. He also gives up the nishkama karma yoga. For him, there is no need of doing any work when he's in that stage, yoga ruda stage. So yeah. So generally, yoga means the conception. I mean, what people generally think is mainly of the physical exercise, right? What we see in society, mainly people are only having understanding yoga means doing some physical exercise for health. So Prabhupada says that it is just like going to Tirupati example, right? We can see these are all yogas, like these are all austerities which is not recommended in Shastras, which people take up. No? This is something called beer yoga, which is done in offices. So what is the purpose of Ashtanga yoga actually? So people without knowing the purpose of yoga, they're practicing different part by part. Not some people like only do pranayama. Okay, it's everything is good if you if for health reason some of them take it. It is good, but then we should not tell that that is cannot be called as a yoga. It's a physical exercise because whatever the Shastra say, yoga means there should be 8 limbed connection. So Prabhupada says like the main purpose is to be in union with Lord, like coming to the samadhi stage. No, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, and dhyana. So, like one who is wishing to go to a Tirupati, right? You have, I mean, you have, if you have, I mean, many people go by walk. It will take, I mean, so many hours it will take for them to climb the hill. So, what is the purpose of climbing the hill? To see the Lord Balaji. So, after going there, if we are not seeing, so what will happen when we climb the hill? Obviously, there are so many positive things. Like you will, I mean, every day if somebody is going like that. So, every day you are doing, then obviously you will lose weight. There'll be good blood circulation, and these things will come. So, these are all called as byproduct of. So, similarly, but after going there, if he is not seeing the Lord, so then whole purpose is lost, right? So whole purpose of yoga is to unite with Lord. So, but then if that is not done, then naturally it is said all the byproducts. Anyways, if when he is doing that yoga, he's going to get all this byproducts. So if that is not achieved, then it's of no use. So yeah, we see that in detail. Okay, someone can read.
Yama 6.10. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. Niyama 6.17. Temperate in his habits of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. Asana 6.11 to 6.14. Lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin. The seat should neither be too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me. Pranayama 6.29. Practice stopping the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and incoming into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is the requirements which are do's and don'ts. We can see like what is required. So these are the steps to be followed in Ashtanga Yoga. So if one has to advance in Ashtanga Yoga, so he should be ready to do all this. One cannot sit at home and do meditation for some time. No, but we can see here how much austerity has to be done. So the person has to leave everything, right? Should he live alone, in the sense he has to leave all his attachment towards family and everything. He has to give up the family and go to a secluded place. Obviously, it is a forest those days, right? So, where can we find a secluded place now in Kali Yuga? And should always carefully control his mind. And controlling mind is also not easy. So much of distractions. So, if one has to only in a secluded place, it is possible when there is no distraction from anything. And then niyama, and this is very much important for self-realization. So temperate in habits of eating, because too much of eating, what will happen? One will feel sleepy. So too much sleepy, then he will feel more lazy. So that is, so everything should be regulated, working and recreation. Only then one can advance. So asana, he has to lay, it's called as some kind of grass, kusha grass. So cover it with a deer skin. So it's a dead deer skin they will put. So why is it done? Because it will avoid some insects from biting, right? Because he has to concentrate on meditating on the Lord. So and so many things we can see, like the seed should not be high or low, and it should be in a sacred. And even the eyes should not be fully closed, because fully closed, obviously we'll feel sleepy. So it is half closed and then staring at the tip of the nose. So much he has to do. And then there's a pranayama. So pranayama means so controlling the breath. So it is said one's life is already defined by the number of breath he take. So that is why these sages, the yogis and all, they control their breath for a long time so that they can live for long. So Prabhupada says, so what is the purpose of living for long if we don't know the purpose of life? Some people do may take up that kind of yoga, Kumbhaka, Rechaka, and this one in the pranayama it comes. So by doing living long life, even the plants live a long life, and also the this Kumbhaka, even frog, right? Frog can perform. It lives for more than 300 years. It can live for so many years. But what is the point of such life? Living without a purpose. So that's not a big thing even a frog can do, like Prabhupada says. So, but then, yeah, so these are all so many things which a yogi does. Yeah, continue, Prabhu. In Pratyahara.
Pratyahara 6.15. Cessation of material existence. Dharana 6.18. Disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires. He is said to have attained yoga. Dhyana 6.19. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. Samadhi 6.20 to 23. One is never shaken even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So yeah, so these are the Yoga Rudha stage. So once he has completely got on externally, he has got control over his body by sitting on a proper place and asana and controlling his breath and all. So now it comes to the subtle, right? Cessation of material existence. So his mind is completely absorbed in the remembrance of Lord. So here we can see that, I mean, cessation of material existence. So he is devoid of any material desires. So, and then he becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires. So this stage is the yogi is considered to be in a stage of attained yoga. And then comes the dhyana. So and then the samadhi. So in this stage, I mean, he's not disturbed by any external environment. He's completely in trance. That is, he is able to see the four-handed form of the Lord, the Paramatma realization. So all the yogas are progression towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. So yesterday also we saw the yoga ladder, how it starts with Karma Kanda, and then Karma Kanda is not a yoga actually. It's basically uh, uh, into only the fruitive activities. Person is attached to fruitive activities. Then comes the Karma Yoga, where some part is given to the Lord. So there, when yoga means when through karma you are connected with the Lord, and yoga, jnana yoga means through jnana one is connected with the Lord, and ashtanga yoga, through ashtanga yoga one gets connected with Lord, and in bhakti yoga by performance of devotional service one get connected with the Lord. So all this is actually leading to, because after ashtanga yoga, after getting jnana, slowly the person progresses towards different stages. So, but then who is having, so who can live for so many years to experiment? And also, what is the guarantee? Because even in Jnana Yoga, many people fall down because after doing so much of mental speculation, Prabhupada says they'll get fed up with of doing so much of because they're not coming to conclusion, they're not able to understand because they do by their own endeavor. So sometimes they give up and they fall down. So uh, so why should we go like this? We can either, it is explained, no, it is like an elevator. If we are taking bhakti yoga, do we have, I mean, if there are 100 steps to a building, do we have to take one step by step, or we can, it is intelligent to go by uh, elevator? It is intelligent, no? Because in Kali Yuga, we don't have so many years also. I mean, to live in the old age. This was in Ashtanga Yoga was practiced in Satya Yoga, where the people lived for thousands of years, right? But the lifespan in Kali Yuga is only 100 years. So hence the Bhakti Yoga is recommended, you know, in the Kali Yuga. So this says Nastya Natyastana, sorry, Natyashanastu yogosti na chaikantamanashnatah na chati swapnashilasya jagrato chaiva charjuna. So this is the same actually. So there is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eat too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. So we even in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also it is said that Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalpo Niyamagraha Janasangascha Laulyamcha Shadbir Bhakti Vinishyati. Anything of too much is not good. Atyahara means eating too much or accumulating too much money. Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalpo Niyamagraha. Prajalpo means talking on unnecessary things which are not related to Krishna or the materialistic things, or right. So that is prajalpa. Niyamagraha, not following or taken for granted, like either following too much religiously and are not following, I mean, being careless in our spiritual practice. So those things are Yamagraha, Janasangascha Laulyamcha, associating too much with the materialistic people, and if we are having too much of greed. So these things can destroy our devotional service, it says. So here also Krishna says a similar thing. So one should have regulation. How can we have regulation in eating? To some extent, we can control by having only prasad. So when we are having prasad, then what happens? We are not looking for anything other than prasad. So even if we go outside, the different street food is not attractive because we know that we should not have it because it's not offered to Lord. And not having just for satisfying the taste bud, like having meat, no, which is not recommended. Prabhupada says like so many things God has given. I mean, he has given a lot of, there are grains, milk products, which is more sufficient. So just because for my taste bud, I should not be killing an innocent animal. So that is not recommended because Krishna is Surudam Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna is a friend for all the living entities, and he will not be happy if we do that. So it is not good. And in the and whatever Krishna says also in chapter 3, if you don't offer and eat, then such person is a thief. So very rare. I mean, how much ever possible, at least when you are at home, try to offer and then eat. Okay. There are situations when you can't avoid, when you are on a trip or a business trip, you have to do it. So mentally you can offer and eat and try to take the sattvic food. But at home, when you are there, try to do it. And do not sleep. Prabhupada says 6 hours is enough for a human being, right? For human beings, it is enough because animals sleep for many hours. But for human beings, he says it is enough, proper sleep. And then, but Prabhupada used to sleep only for less than 2 hours also. But for us, at least we need minimum 6 hours. Otherwise, we'll not be able to do the next day work properly. No? And then keeping the fast on Ekadashi days. So these are all recommended to be so that we are regulated in our activity. So one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from path. One should abandon without exception all the material desire born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. So practice in advancing in Ashtanga Yoga, one has to be very determined. So Prabhupada gives an example of a bird. So where a sparrow had kept her legs on the shore. And the ocean, the waves took away the eggs. So her determination was so strong. She cried for her eggs. She called out. She asked the ocean, but then ocean, because it's such a small bird, he didn't even respond. He neglected. So she said she thought that in a small beak, she thought she will dry up the ocean. That was her determination. So it looked so foolish, but then her determination was so strong. She was continuously doing, and it reached to the Garud. Garud is the Vahan of Lord Vishnu. No? When he come to know, and he comes for a rescue, she was very pleased by her determination. And then he warns the ocean that if you don't give, right, so then I will dry it up. So then he was afraid and he gives it back. So this was a determination. That what does it show? Like if we are determined, obviously Krishna will help through some way. If we are like, it is not like we can be perfect. It's not possible in that we cannot compare with others, our spiritual development with others. Like somebody is advancing more than me, so I should not be getting discouraged. I should be determined because everyone comes with their own karma. So the advancement can vary. So, but then we should be determined that one day I will also advance. Utsahat nischayat dhairyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat satovritti shadpir bhakti prasidati. So the other 6 was how we will fall in devotional service. So how we will climb in devotional service? Utsaha. One should be very enthusiastic in performing devotional service. So how we have enthusiasm in if it is something like if you are going for a movie, or you are going dinner with your friends outside, or you're meeting some friends. So much enthusiasm we have. So same kind of enthusiasm should be showed even in the devotional service to the God. Enthusiasm is very important. Prabhupada says, Utsahat nischayat dhairyat. You should be very patient and determined and patient also. So it takes so many years, no? So we may be struggling so much, so many challenges we get. We are struggling with the chanting. We are not able to concentrate. So many things happen, but then we should not give up. We should be patient. We should only endeavor to become better and better day by day. So though we are not perfect, we need to accept what is the reality, and we have to only comparison should be within ourselves only, not with others. How was I yesterday and how am I today? Am I doing better? Then we should appreciate ourselves, right? So not to be deviated from path, only I should abandon without expectation all material desire born of mental speculation, and thus control the senses on all sides by mind. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. So slowly his mind is because the nature of the mind is to wander, no, here and there. Even when we chanting, so many times it distracts, so many different things. So it is said like there are something called positive distractions and sometimes it is negative distractions. So initially when we take up Krishna consciousness, so much negative distractions is there. So many unnecessary things keep coming to mind. Maybe when we more involved in the service to Krishna, there is some positive distraction. Like you may have feel like, okay, after this I have to complete today's chapter. I have to read the for the quiz, or I have to read today this puppet. So something continuously mind is planning. It is not allowing us to concentrate on the holy name at all. So, but then we have to bring it back. So gradually, step by step, one should become situated. Means mind always. We need to have patience. So it will take time because we can see here from wherever the mind wanders due to flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of self. So that is why mind is compared to monkey. No, mind is actually material. Material in the sense it is made up of matter. So Krishna says that out of his eight energy, Bhumi Rapona Lovayu Kammano Buddhi Revacha. So Buddhi Revacha, even the Buddhi, Ahankara iti, Yamme Bhinna Prakriti Rashtada. So these are all my material energy. Krishna says the external energy. So the false ego, the intelligence, and the mind, all these things comes under the material. So since it is a material, we are more attracted when there is somebody is speaking to you, uh, eh, like on the materialistic thing, we are very much attracted to know what is happening. Okay, well, tell me what happened, right, about others or something like that. But then if it is okay, if somebody is asking us, no, okay, come and chant, we'll do more chanting. So then we will not be so much attracted because the mind nature is that it is not attracted. It is not like yours mind or my mind. It is the nature of the mind. So we have to, because it's the nature is unsteady. So we have to withdraw it whenever it asks. So what we can tell? We can tell the mind, okay, now it is a chanting time. Just we will see that whatever topic if you're coming, you can think about it after that. Okay, after 2 hours. So now please don't disturb me. I have more time. We can discuss on that later. So that's how we can convince the mind and concentrate on our chanting, right? The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme. And thus he is free from all the reactions of the past. Yeah. Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to God. So when the mind is fixed in Krishna, right? One who has taken the shelter of Krishna, obviously he'll come above the three mode of material nature. So it is said he is all free from all material contamination. So all material contamination means because of all this, the many lives we have been associated with the sense gratification. So it takes time for purification. No, finally when he's fixed in devotion to Krishna, and then he can achieve that highest stage of perfection. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. So when all that contamination is gone, no, even in chapter 7, Krishna says, Esham tvantagatam papam. Jananam punya karman. So when all the duality is gone, so such person is able to concentrate on Krishna, and he is able to see that supreme being in everyone. So though he is on a materialistic platform, like he knows that because of the karma, this particular entity is in this body, but then the super soul is there even in him. No, either way, the living entity he sees as a part and parcel of the Lord. He sees that everybody are serving the Krishna. Maybe the one living entity is serving the internal energy of Krishna, but the other living entity is serving the external energy of Krishna. But in a way, everyone is serving the Krishna. So he sees on that platform. When in chapter 5 we see Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Kavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Okay. So it says Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. When who is in a true knowledge, the person sees a dog eater, with Brahmana and a king, everyone on an equal platform. So this is achieved in Ashtanga Yoga in the advances. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor he is ever lost to me. So the pure devotee of the Lord, right? So he is able to see everything in relation to Krishna. So that is why he is never lost to Krishna. I mean, always whatever he sees in the material world, he sees that to be the energy of Krishna. Like even Prabhupada, whatever he saw in the nature, he used to connect that to Krishna. Like if somebody says that rose was so wonderful when they see, then Prabhupada would say, like, if rose is so wonderful, how about the creator? How wonderful he should be. No? And then once what happens, Prabhupada was in a airport, and there was a very beautiful air hostess. She was passing through, or one girl, and then one of his disciples was staring at her. Prabhupada observed that boy was staring, and then immediately after some time, Prabhupada asked, wasn't she very beautiful? Prabhupada, and then he could not deny because he was caught. And then that disciple agreed, yes. Then he said, see, if she is so beautiful, so how about the creator? So how beautiful the creator should be. So that's how they connect each and everything to the creator, whatever they see. So that is why for them Krishna is never lost. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the soul, knowing that I and super soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the truth equality of all beings, in both their happiness and distress, O Arjuna. No? So they are like already reached in Brahmabhuta stage. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kangshati, because they are not equally disposed in that comes in chapter 18. Na shochati na kangshati. He is not disturbed by the happiness and distress. Section 4. Necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. Although control of mind is undoubtedly a difficult process, nevertheless, Control of mind is essential and obtainable only by constant practice and detachment. So, before what Arjuna's question, we want to understand what kind of person was Arjun, right? So, Arjun, we know like how much I mean, how attentive, how focused he was when he was a small boy in Gurukul, when Dronacharya asked him to ask everyone, actually the Kauravas and Pandavas, to aim at a eye of a dummy bird on a tree. So everyone he asked, Dronacharya asked them, like he asked Duryodhana, what are you able to see? He says, like I can see, like from very far distance, they ask him to shoot the arrow. So he says, I can see the mountain, I can see the tree, I can see a bird, and so then he asked Bhima. Bhima says, I can see the tree, I can see the bird. And then Yudhishthira, he says, I can see the bird. But then when he was asked Arjuna, Arjuna says, I only see the bird eye. So such was his focus, attention. I mean, and also in Swayamvara, how he was able to, he had to uh, uh, see at the, I mean, Draupadi Swayamvara. So he had to see in the mirror, and he has to aim at the uh, fish eye again, which was rotating actually, and which was moving. So in that he was able to succeed, and he had I mean, they lived for 12 years and 1 year in incognito, no. So they were in the forest. They have practice of living in forest, in also in Gurukul, and also when they were sent after they lost the game, no, gambling game. So he had a practice. So still, and he was not an ordinary. So he had won Pashupati Astra. I mean, he had fought with Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva was pleased, and he offered him. I mean, he blessed him with the Pashupati Astra, and also he had got so many weapons, divine weapons from the different devatas, from Indra, right? And he was an eternal, sir. I mean, companion of the Lord. So this was in Satyoga when Lord came as uh, the, what is this name? Nara and Narayana. Yeah, yeah. So Nara means human. Narayana is Lord. So when Nara Narayana, it is still said that they are still there. Nara Narayana rishis are there, and they are always in meditating. So this he is such a, is not an ordinary jiva, but still such Arjuna. What does he says about after hearing all Ashtanga Yoga from Krishna? Arjuna uvacha योऽयं योगस्त्वया प्रोक्तः साम्येन मधुसूदन एतस्याहं न पश्यामि चञ्चलत्वात् स्थितिं स्थिराम्. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and endurable to me, for mind is restless and unsteady. See, if his mind is restless after doing so much austerity, and he is able to have such a focused mind, he's saying that mind is restless and unsteady. Actually, he's saying for the people like us, for Kali Yuga people. No, so if he is not, and this was in that too Dwapar Yuga, when there were no so many industrialization also. That time, if mind is so much disturbed, then what about now, right? So then he further continues. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balavat tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Chanchalam. For the mind is restless, uh, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. Oh Krishna, to subdue it, I think it's more difficult than controlling wind. So these are the, we can remember the 4 qualities of mind. One is to be restless. So because it's always in thinking something, it's always in some anxiety. Turbulent, it's always disturbed, not stable. Obstinate, no, very stubborn. It's very difficult for to convince a mind. If it wants something, it will. I mean, if it is, it has any sense object, or it is attracted, then until we get it, it will not allow us to do anything peacefully. So it's very obstinate and very strong. No, to persuade the mind is very difficult. It's not easy. So, oh Krishna, and to subdue it, I think is more difficult than controlling the wind. Says that I can control the wind because he was such a Dhanurdhara, no? He was called as Dhanurdhara. I mean, he could control the wind in all directions. So he says, I can control the wind, but not the mind. So how can we do this? Because Krishna is Rishikesha. But when we submit our senses and mind, because Rishikesha means he is a master of senses and mind. So since Krishna is the owner, the master of the mind, when we submit our senses, obviously it will stop disturbing us. It will not. So we need to take a shelter of the Lord. But Krishna, the mind is more difficult to control than the wind. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagena cha Gruhyate. So Lord Krishna also approves whatever Arjuna said. He says, O mighty son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So Krishna says that yes, it is difficult to control the mind, but he is not saying that it is not impossible. No, it is possible. So even in material world, whatever, I mean, it is said that Krishna will not give anything without a solution. No, whatever problem is there is some solution, always is there. Only in that particular time, we feel that, okay, I'm not able to figure out what is the solution for this problem. But slowly, Krishna, I mean, there will be a solution for it. So there won't be any problem without solution. So even in material life, so many difficult things we come across, but then we are able to overcome it, right? It is not that it is not impossible. So similarly here also, it is said we can overcome. That requires two things: how to control the mind, abhyasa, that is through practice. So the mind go back, I mean, when you are chanting, it moves away, again bringing back. So many times we need to bring it back. And then vairagya, so detachment. So not being too much attached to materialistic. Detachment means from the, I mean, not from materialistic sense enjoyment. One should not be too much having attachment. When we have attachment towards sense objects, then it is not possible for mind to stay in one place. So taking away the mind from negative things and practicing to stick to in the lotus feet of the Lord. So abhyasa and vairagya, the senses can be controlled by right practice and detachment. So Lord Krishna's opinion. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Similarly, yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. So, controlling of mind, so it means some control on mind is required. So that is why this Ekadashi also will help us, because in Ekadashi you are controlling your mind, not giving the mind whatever it asks for. Usually it wants to, I mean, the tongue want to taste a very tasty food, but we say that I cannot give you. We somehow bring it to control. No, we are not agreeing to whatever mind is telling. So in that way, we are able to control it, bring it to control. So if we are not doing any austerity, I mean, if the mind is engaged in material engagement, Krishna says here, like it is like igniting a fire while pouring out. I mean, you're trying to ignite a fire and pouring water. What will happen? The fire will never be able to ignite. No. So similarly, we are doing one way. We are practicing spiritual practice, right? I mean, devotional service. And the other way, we are also doing the sense gratification. So this is the reason many people don't like Krishna consciousness. Many spiritual organization does not give the four regulative principles. But Prabhupada was very strict because when he went to West also, many people told, if you are asking people to follow this, especially the meat and the illicit sex, these two, then in West it is very difficult to survive. You will not get any followers. Prabhupada, for one of the organizations, they said spiritual person must. So Prabhupada said, I don't mind. I cannot compromise on the principles. Prabhupada never compromised on principles. So something, because you cannot get Krishna. I said, if you want Krishna, then we have to do some austerity and some sacrifices required. So sense enjoyment and Krishna consciousness cannot go together. So now, Arjuna, the destination of the unsuccessful yogi. Unsuccessful transcendentalists obtain either heavenly enjoyment followed by an aristocratic birth if they are slightly advanced, or birth in a family of wise transcendentalists that bring them immediate further training if they are more advanced. So now Arjuna wants to know, further ask, like, okay, because these following of Ashtanga Yoga looks very practical, na? So how can, what will happen if somebody falls down? What happens? Although he begins the process of self-realization with faith, he later deceases due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism. Although he begins the process of self-realization with faith, he later deceases due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain mysticism. Like, yeah, so this was the example in the previous slide we saw, right? So this is an example of Shabari Muni. No? Anyone knows this story? What had happened? Shabari Muni is doing, actually he wanted to be away from all the materialistic thing and no distraction. So he went inside the water. Imagine, he wanted to meditate so that there is no distraction for him to meditate. But what happened? He see two fish together. So by seeing that, he got his mind, just by seeing that, his mind got agitated and he felt like he wanted to marry. Immediately he left. I mean, so many years he did that tapas inside the water and controlling the breathing. But then what happened? He wanted to also get married. And then he comes out and he goes to a king, like he wanted to marry. The king had 50 daughters, beautiful daughters. So he looked so, I mean, he didn't look good because so many years of austerity. He had a very long beard and body was also, I mean, very weak and he didn't look good. So the king said, okay, you can go and ask my daughters if they wish you can marry, because the king thought, anyways, his daughters would not agree him because he looked so ugly. But then he was a mystic, so he had the power. He could know what was his king's intention. So immediately he turned himself to be a very beautiful man, and then he approached his daughters. So everybody wanted to marry him. No? Can see it. So many. So he married all of them, and with everyone he had so many children. And many years he spent his life, and finally one day he gets realization that he wasted all his life just because of one small. So this is the same thing. The chapter 2 also speaks about this, the how the 8th stage of fall down happen. Just simple contemplation. We feel sometimes, oh, what is there? No, even the Ajamila, what is there? Little I will see. Oh, nothing will happen. So, but then it brings to the fall down. So so this is what Arjuna's question was. What would happen if some person, he has done so much of thing and finally he had to get attracted? But after he realized this, actually, of course, Shabari Muni gave up and he comes and again takes up to self-realization. But then so much distraction, he had to leave everything and go. No? So Krishna says, "Oh mighty Arm." So Arjuna asks, "Oh mighty arm Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a raven cloud with no position in any sphere? So in he is asking the position of such a person. No, they say no nagarka nagatka. Like what if he becomes like that? So the analogy given is like we see that there is a big cloud in the sky and there are very small clouds. So sometimes the small clouds get detached from the big cloud. No, so it means like it looks like there is no, it's not nowhere. There are some small clouds which are nowhere. No, they are not a part of big cloud. So will he become like that? So not having no position, no enjoyment, even no material enjoyment, nor does he have a spiritual happiness also. So what will happen to such person? This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So because he has surrendered to Krishna, so he says only Krishna, you can dispel this doubt. Huh? Shri Bhagavanuvacha Parthanaiveha namutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyanakrit kaschid durgatin tata gacchati. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So, son of Pritha. Pritha means the Queen Kunti is called as Pritha. So that is why he is called as Partha. Sometimes Arjuna is addressed as Partha, son of Pritha. So he says that there is no loss in devotional service. Even if you leave, there is no loss. So Prabhupada also says that if somebody is practiced Krishna consciousness, at least there is a guarantee that he will not get a animal life in the next. Because it's the most dangerous thing, no? Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Mahato bhayat means, what is the mahat bhayat? The danger is to become, to be born again in the animal kingdom. How difficult their life is. Always they are in fear, no, or fear of danger. And the intelligence also is not developed in animals. So it's not a happy life. It's very a difficult life, no, for animals. So every day there's a lot of struggle. So here it said it is not, there's nothing to worry. No, one who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So here we see in the picture the Ajamila. Now Ajamila at young age, he was very pure devotee, but because of the contemplation, no, he wanted to see that a prostitute and a Shudra, and he heard them laughing and he just thought, okay, let me see what they're doing. And then that's how he fall down. He felt like if this Shudra can have her, she was beautiful. So he felt, okay, why can't I have her? So then that thought, so contemplating on that, then he thought he should marry her. He brought her home, and then his wife, his parents, everybody left. All people started to spit at him by seeing him, and he was begging, nobody gave. And then he engaged in so many sinful activities because of her. Like she had all bad habits, intoxication and these things. He also started drinking, and then he had to kill also. He had also committed killing also, because for fulfilling her wishes, he didn't have money. People were not giving because he was no more a Brahmana. When he was a Brahmana, people used to give charity, but how can he is not a, so everybody insulted him and nobody gave, so he had to take the wrong routes. So even after doing all that, because he had done something in for the Lord, Krishna gave him intelligence to give the name as Narayana for his son. So when he became old, at the age of 80, he had a son. And he was, I think, around 10th son or something. So he gave him the name as Narayana, and he became so attached to him. So anytime he was calling his name, Narayana, Narayana, no. So finally, when at the time of death also he called out, and during the death, so the the Yamadutas came, and also the Vishnu Dutas came. So Yamadutas, they came because he had done so much of sinful work. They came. So they were surprised to see how come Vishnu Dutas had come. They were not allowing them to take away. They stopped. So then they said that because he took the Lord name Narayana, you cannot take them. So that's how he was saved. And after that, he realizes, and it is said he goes to Haridwar, and still then he takes up seriously. He realizes that so many years he wasted. See, that is why it is said, Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mato bayat. He did only for some time. He did the devotional service, but all his life he was sinful. But still, Krishna gave him that intelligence to give the Narayana name, because he says, no, it comes in chapter 8. At that time, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaf prayati samadbhavam nasti yatra samshayah yati nasti yatra samshayah. So anyone who remembers me at the time of death, they will attain me. But Krishna immediately didn't give because there were purification required. But then he sent Vishnu Dutas and stopped from taking to hell. And that's how he was saved. So Prabhupada has written a nice book on this called as Second Chance. So second chance was given to this Ajamila, the unsuccessful yogi. So there are two type of birth Krishna explains here of unsuccessful yogi. Pious birth into good family, revives the divine consciousness in early stage of life, youth, naturally attracted to yogic principles and examples. Okay. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of pious living entity, is born into the family of righteous people and into family of aristocracy. So when a person has done the devotional service and he gives up in the middle for some reason, is not able to continue. So Krishna says, like, if he has done around 50%, so what will happen? The next life, he will be born in first he will be going to pious heavenly planets, and there he will enjoy for many, many years. After that, he will be born when he comes back. Because Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Even if you go to any higher planets, you have to come back. Whatever pious deed you do, also you have to come back. Only from this material world. Even Devatas want to be born in this world, because um, from here it is easy to do devotional service, because it is constructed in such a way when person realizes that real happiness is not in the external things, and it is only when I know that what is my real identity, so then he engage in devotional service, right? So that time, so that is possible only in this material world. So this person has to come back. So he comes back and he is born in a rich family. So why rich family is given? Because at least his basic things have been taken care of. He need not worry about his food, water, shelter. No, that is taken care of by the God. So when that is given, only then a person can think about spiritual life. No, if you are only struggling for your basic necessities of life, how can you think about Lord? How can, because those are all because of karma. Even Bhagavatam also states, not Bhagavatam, in the Nectar of Devotion also we see that the karma, how it manifests. Like one is born in a very poor family, or is very ugly, and very no education, and so these things are actually because of the karma manifesting. It may not be in the same birth, but it is like from the previous birth we get, or somebody is too much engaged or trouble from the legal cases. All these are all said to be a manifestation of the karma, which is the aprabdha karma, no, aprabdha karma, they say. So like that. So but here Krishna gives the very rich family, so that his all needs have been taken care, and he now concentrate on higher goal of life, because the intelligence is given to a human being, and he can think about more than eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, which even the animals can do, right? So, or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such birth is rare in this world. Yeah. So here Krishna says that if he has done more, I mean, all his life, if somebody has practiced devotional service and he dies, so what will happen? So such person, I mean, 90% if somebody has done, so little bit is left. So for complete, so such persons will born in a family of transcendentalists. Like from very young age, he sees the worshipping God, no, the Supreme Lord, and the people, the parents are devotees, and he get a very good association of devotees. So when a devotee, when a child is born in a devotee family, that is to be considered like because of the previous austerity he has done in the previous lives. And Prabhupada, this is Prabhupada. So Prabhupada was worshipping the deities when he was just a small 6-year-old. No, he had also done the Rath Yatra along with children, and it is his father who was a Vaishnava, pure Vaishnava. He was he has a cloth, he was a cloth merchant, but then after coming home every day he used to worship and read Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Before he go to bell, he used to do Aarti, everything to the Lord. And he had given 2 deities also to Prabhupada, the Radha Krishna deities, which Prabhupada was always carrying with him wherever he goes. So this birth, Krishna says that this is very rare to achieve in this world, not easy to get. So we see how many percentage of population can get in a devotee family. Very rare. So on taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So once he gets such a life, he will be fixed in devotional service, no? Because the surrounding is like that. He has a very good opportunity to advance. So Krishna has given that. So it all comes because of one's deeds, a karma, which he has done in the previous lives. So the example we can see here of a Bharat Maharaj, right? Bharat Maharaj, he was he left everything. He was I mean, because of him only we got the name as Bharatavarsha. The India got the name. I mean, because we get Bharata. Bharata has come because of this, his name, Bharata. So, but then he gave up all his family, his king, I mean, wife, children, his all subjects, because he was a king, and all opulence as a king, everything he gives up and comes to forest and takes the devotional service. But then there he gets attracted to deer and he gets a deer life. But in the deer life also, because of the austerity he done, Krishna had given him in the intelligence that the forgetfulness he had, and he got attached to deer. And because of thinking of deer, he became the deer in next life. So all this he remembered. So being deer also, he did a lot of austerity even in that body, because Krishna gave him the remembrance. So otherwise we all don't get no remembrance, but Krishna gave. Krishna says in chapter 15, Matta smriti gnanam apohanam cha. From me comes the memory, smriti, jnana, knowledge, and the forgetfulness. So Krishna gave him that. So the deer also he remembered, and he did austerity. He was only eating the leaves and the leftovers. He used to go near the temple and have the prasad of the god. And next life, he was a Jada Bharata. So Jada Bharata, he acted like a deaf and dumb, because in that life also Krishna gave him the intelligence. He remembered the past 2 lives, how he had fallen down. So this time he thought, I will never mix with materialistic people and I will not fall down. So so that I should not get any attachment to anyone. So but until one day, Rahoguna, the king, found out that he was a transcendentalist. He was not an ordinary person, because he, while taking his, I mean, palanquin, he was being carried. The king was carried, and then there was a shortage of people. They called this person Jadabharata, and Jadabharata, while taking, like, he was very cautious that he should not step on some ant or insect. So when he saw ant, he was going here and there, like his foot. What happened? It was shaking. The palanquin was shaking, and the king got upset. He shouted, like, "What the hell you are doing?" Right? And then when first time he spoke, and then he gave the knowledge. Actually, they also understand like who is capable of taking it. Only to them they reveal. So he knew that king was a pious person, and by telling that the truth of material world, so immediately he surrendered and he asked him, like, you take me as your disciple. So that's how Krishna is saying here that divine consciousness is given for them, whoever has done the austerity in the previous life. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So he is above all ritualistic scriptures. So this is automatically, we see so many children, they're even in the Gurukul, they're all, Prabhupada calls them as Vaikuntha children, because they're all so much inclined towards devotional service, so much they're engaged. They also get up early morning, they get up at 3 o'clock, and they, so much austerity they perform. They take care, they live away from their parents. They're completely dedicated their life, like a Gurukul life. In Mayapur it is there. So they select very selected students are being taken and they're trained. So they will have natural inclination. So they can recite all the shlokas, Vedic thing, and Prabhupada had given a very nice platform for the children. So when they come till 25, after that they can decide whether they want to continue to a Grihastha ashram, or they can remain as a brahmachari. So there's no force there. So this, so Krishna says they are always above ritualistic principle. So may not follow rules as per scripture because he's on a transcendental plane. So just like Prabhupada gives an example of like Haridas Thakur in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was born in a Muslim family. He was not, he cannot be given a stage of, position of a Goswami. Goswami is the highest position, but then he was given because it was that doesn't matter what caste you're born or anything, because he had that devotion towards the Lord, and he gave him the Acharya also, the name as Acharya, Namacharya, because he was chanting 192 rounds every day. So they are above that. Okay. And when the yogi engage himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contamination, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. So after doing, so when he is engaging continuously, then finally in that birth, they will, just like how Narada Muni, previous birth, he was a maid servant, son of a maid servant. But then he did so much austerity, and he became like, he didn't have after that next life because of the association with the transcendentalist. The Bhakti Vedantist who visited their house during the Chaturmas. So by having the leftovers, Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Pada Duli, Bhakta Bhukta, what is that? Bhakta Bhukta Adishesh, means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that it's all very purifying. One is the dust of a lotus feet. If we are not progressing in spiritual life, even if we take a little dust of the pure devotee of the Lord, and Bhakta Jal, whatever the Charanamrut, if we can have, or the Bhakta Bhukta, means whatever he has, the remnants of the food of that pure devotee, so one can advance. So this person, whoever sincerely being washed of all contamination, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, so finally he can attain the spiritual goal. So now Krishna explains about the topmost yogi. Yogis are greater than empressed fruitive workers and ascetics. Of all yogis, those who with full faith always think of Krishna and render transcendental service to him are the highest of all. Because everyone have some aspiration or desires are there, but only the pure devotee has no other desire than to serve the Lord. A yogi is greater than, okay, this we just read. Yoginamapi sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo matah. And of all the yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That's my opinion. So every chapter we see that when concluding, Krishna says that Bhakti Yoga is the top. He explains about everything. After that, he concludes that of all the yogis, I consider the Bhakti Yogi to be the highest because he has understood what is the relationship with the Lord. Shraddhavan, with all the faith. Faith is very important in Bhakti. And bhajate yomam, Shraddha bhajate yomam. So bhajate, Prabhupada says that this bhajate is used only for Supreme Personality of Godhead, only Krishna. We cannot use bhaj, for any other devatas or anyone. Only for Krishna we can use the bhajate because we are part and parcel of Krishna and we are to serve. Serving the Lord with devotion is called as bhajate. So yoga means what? Is connecting with the Lord. So there are different yogas through karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, to different way. But then everything, the highest is the bhakti yoga, connecting the Lord through bhakti. So becoming a Krishna consciousness is said to be the highest achievement in the yoga. Yeah, so we can see that the bhakti yogis, so 24 hours they are always, these are all like the Gopa boys, Krishna and Balram, and they're not doing any austerity or they're not chanting like us. They need not do any sadhana because they're all on a highest platform. Why do they have to do sadhana? Because anyways they are 24 hours, they're thinking about always Krishna only. We are doing sadhana because so that we can think about Krishna and also during at the time of death, so that we remember the Krishna. That is why we do so much sadhana, chanting and all. But for them, it is not required. So those people who are always engaged in transcendental loving service is intimately united with me, Krishna says. So they are considered to be the highest. These are the sections. So advance in yoga through detached work. The yoga Ruda stage, giving up work. Section 3, further stages in practice of yoga. Section 4, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. Section 5, the destination of unsuccessful yogi. And section 6 is the topmost yogi. Okay. Hare Krishna. This we have come to the end. Okay. Any questions? Or okay, I see something in the chat. Degan Prabhu is asking something. Chapter 5 is the toughest. Atma word is repeated 7 times. Is it so? Atma. Atma, I think most of the chapters it is there. Atma word may come. Many chapters. Even Atma word is there more in chapter 2 also. So, yeah. So Bhagavad Gita mostly. Okay, attendance link. Okay, 1 second. I initially copied and I forgot. Okay, please mark everyone. Okay. The last 5 lines in the purport are important. Yoga Nidra. Which shloka, Prabhu, it is you're speaking about?
Mataji, you read it out. It's okay.
Okay.
I just wrote it for everybody.
Okay. Fine. Which was that shloka, Prabhu? Which was that shloka? Do you remember now or no? Fine. Any other questions? Hare Krishna.
No,
You
Mataji.
can all unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Any doubts on today's session? Hope all of you are attending the session. Santosh Prabhu is taking, no? Santosh Avula Prabhu is taking the sessions on Tuesday and Thursday. I request everyone to join. I think they are dedicatedly, I mean, so much dedicated he's doing, conducting every week, 2 days. Please take the opportunity and attend, whoever not attending. Hare Krishna.
Hare
I think
Krishna.
you're in chapter 5 now. I think. No, Aishwarya Mataji attends, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
You're in chapter 5, is it? Or
We
over?
finished chapter 5, Mataji. They're gonna start this quiz on Tuesday, chapter 6 quiz. We'll discuss
Very
it
nice.
and important shlokas from chapter 6. Sorry.
Yeah, how is it going? You're all enjoying that reading?
Yes, Mataji. It's very nice. We also discussed the sadhana form, the Krishna Leela a bit. Yeah. And we also go through important shlokas. We again refer to your presentation and again read shlokas with purport. So when we read
Okay,
the
1 hour?
purport, yeah, 1 hour, Mata. Sometimes 1 hour, 20 minutes like that. But
Okay.
when we read the purport, it's really nice. It's very informative. So
Yeah, it is good. See, only in association we can do that. Alone means we will not have the discipline, no? At least you have a session like how you come for this class, like that. So when you start attending, it becomes a habit.
yes, Mataji, it's very nice. And Prabhuji also keeps all of us engaged. He'll ask us to read the shlokas because I personally suffer reading the shlokas. So he asks all of us to read the shlokas, whoever is there, read the
Very
translation.
nice.
So the session is always engaging. Nice. Yes, Mataji.
Very nice. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. The class was very nice.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha ananta koti vaishnavande ki jai namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can we all chant together Hare Krishna 3 times? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you everyone. Thanks for
Thank
joining.
you, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, complete
Thank you,
the quiz
Mataji. Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare
Hare Krishna Mataji.